listening to Read, Return, Repeat. How's it going? It's episode 2. I'm Daniel Pewewardy.
I am Jenny Durham.
And we are adult literacies librarians at the Wichita Public Library. And that was a fun show. Thank you. I learned so much about libraries from you. Thank you I like our new format.
I do too. I'm really excited though to talk about book adaptations today.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. I saw Project Hail Mary. I did not read the book, but my brother read the book and he loved the movie. I'm excited to read the book now, and I've realized everything I'm watching right now is like an adaptation. Everything on television.
There's a lot of that going around. I have heard a lot of good things about Project Hail Mary, but I definitely want to read the book first.
Baby Goose, Ryan Gosling, shout out. He makes it. Before we jump into the episode, I do have a quick update. We kind of reached out to you guys to see if you guys wanted t-shirts made, and a couple of you guys actually got back to us, so thank you. We were I was like, oh, people are listening. And keep emailing us. It's nice to hear from you guys that listen to the show, and let us know what you think of the new format.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get on finding an easy way for people to contact us.
So we're gonna talk about adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the age-old question is the book better or the movie better?
Yeah, and is it better to read the book first or watch the movie first?
To give us the movie side of things about the adaptation wars, we have KMUW's film critic, Fletcher Powell, coming to talk to us today about adaptations. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. All right, and we're back with our guest, Fletcher Powell, movie critic from KMUW, and we're here to talk about this episode. We're talking about adaptations.
Yeah.
So,
was the book better?
People usually think it is, right?
Is the movie better? But before we jump into that, I guess a little about you. So, you have been reviewing for KMUW for a few years now?
For, probably almost 10 years, I think. It may be almost 9 years. I can't remember. But before that, people may remember Jim Erickson, who was our longtime film critic. And so I was his producer for 5 or 6 or 7 years before I took over for him. So I've sort of been doing something with the movie review there for quite a while.
Jim Erickson actually was a Friends of the Library volunteer.
Oh, I'm
pretty
sure.
regularly. Yeah, for those that don't know, Jim Erickson was a film professor at Wichita State, and he was a movie reviewer. He passed a few years ago. He was a great guy. I knew him through Lance Hayes, but yeah. And so you've taken on the role of the film critic.
Yes.
Has it been big shoes to fill?
Well, you can't fill Jim Erickson's shoes. If people who remember him know what a personality he was. So I kind of just tried to take things in my own direction and just, do the best I could talking about movies, but also do the best I can to serve the public radio audience, because that's a big part of it too.
So are you a movie fan at least?
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't take it over hating movies.
I was going to say, I couldn't imagine not liking films, but being,
I've known some people
forced into doing film. But then again, there's librarians that don't read.
I was a sports media.
But at least don't read for leisure.
I was a sports media scholarship student for a while at Butler, and I just, you just do the job sometimes.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'd be doing color commentary. I'd be like, look at him go.
I imagine it's a lot more fun, though, doing the job if you enjoy film.
Yeah.
So I've kind of worked with you. We've known each other through the Academy Award shorts and things. So 2026 has been kind of a pretty decent year for movies so far. Do you have any favorites so far?
Oh gosh, for the year so far, that's a good question. I watched too many things to call something up just in my brain, so I would kind of have to look at what I had watched so far this year, and I've turned my phone off, so I can't pull up my letterbox.
Yeah.
So that's a terrible answer. I'm sure there's good stuff that I'll think of later.
Yeah, we could just come back to it. Yeah. And also, do you read a lot too?
I do not read a lot. I would love to read a lot. There are a number of reasons for that. I used to read a lot, when I was a kid and through college and after college, but I now I have 2 small children, so reading is almost never an option. And also, I fall asleep. Whenever I really try to read a book, I fall asleep. I read Middlemarch for the first time a couple years ago, but it took me about a year to read.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's that thick, right?
Yeah, and like the language,
Yeah.
even though it was still, in modern English, still it was kind of that like stilted Victorian.
What is
language.
Middlemarch? Is it like
That was George Eliot.
Yeah, it's like this sprawling novel about this town, the town of Middlemarch, and sort of the relationships that go on. And I loved it. It was instantly one of my favorite books. But yeah, it took me a long time.
Yeah, it's like classic English literature, though. So definitely, if I went a while without reading and then I was going to go back to reading, that is probably not the one I would start.
Don't ask me why that's what I picked up. Especially, COVID kind of took most people out of reading in one way or another. It just kind of messed up our brains. And Middlemarch was one of the first books I read after that. And probably not the best decision as far as that goes.
I always I haven't read a physical book in like over a decade. I mostly just do audiobooks now. Graphic novels and stuff I can read and stuff. And there's there's a couple nonfiction books I've read like 80% of physical, but my book is House of Leaves.
Oh,
as
sure.
like the one that because you can't get an audiobook version of it.
That makes sense.
And that is, speaking of like adaptations, that's like kind of it's unadaptable is what I've been like.
I think somebody's doing it though, or I think somebody's trying.
I was wondering about that, like when we were coming up with thinking of questions to ask too, there is that question of, are there some works that are just like would be impossible to adapt? People used to think Dune was like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know the one right now that everyone's like the big hubbub is Blood Meridian.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, people have been trying to do that for quite a while.
Yeah, since like the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I guess I'm trying to think if we need to learn, if I know, I guess the next question would be is do you want to jump into talking about adaptations?
Sure.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
I see you wore your Dune shirt.
I wore my Dune shirt.
Yeah.
I wore my Barry Lyndon shirt.
Oh, was Barry Lyndon a book?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, I think a good chunk of Kubrick's stuff was
a lot of it was adapted.
Yeah. So that's cool. I have not seen Barry Lyndon.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I had to be the weird one. I didn't think about a movie tie-in. It's Natural Poetry Month, so I'm wearing my Edgar Allan Poe shirt that says "When it rains, it pours."
Obviously, the best adaptation of an Edgar Allan Poe work was Tree House of Horror, the Simpsons episode.
That's hard to argue with.
Yeah. I think maybe I don't know. I feel like Edgar Allan Poe's one of those things. It's I know that I know they made full-length movies of his works, but you don't.
Unless they made not really a adaptation, but biopics. I'm have they ever done an Edgar Allan Poe biopic? I feel like they had to have.
I've been saying biopic.
I always said biopic. I don't care.
So are there you said you don't read much? Is there a book that you've read that you get watch the movie of later and was
I mean, that's happened a lot, and partly why I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because earlier in my life, I would often read the book before I saw the movie, whether intentionally or unintentionally.
Yeah.
But what I end up doing is I spend the entire time sort of jumping back and forth between the two and comparing them, and that really bothers me because it's less fun. I start to see the things in the movie that they necessarily had to cut out to make it a movie, and it starts to make me less happy with the movie, and that's not fair to the movie because it's a movie, it's a different thing, and so I kind of stopped reading books before
the movie came out.
I also kind of stopped reading the books after, unless it was something that I really vibed with, right? If I really wanted to go back and live in that world some more, then I might go back and read it. But another really annoying thing for me that I would do is after I read it, I would picture the actors who were in the movie, which seems fine, except that my brain wouldn't let me do that. And so I would start trying to erase that picture of the actors.
Yeah.
and just go by the description of who the character was in the book. And so I would have this weird tension of jumping back and forth between the actors and trying to force myself not to think of the
I feel
actors.
like you're talking about I feel like I'm thinking of a book right now, and I feel like you're probably talking about one of the same books, Jurassic Park.
Oh man, absolutely. Yeah.
Either that, or if you take a really long gap between reading the book,
Yeah.
and because like I read Jurassic Park when I was in high school in the 90s.
Yeah.
But like I hadn't seen Jurassic Park for like another 10 years after that, so I've forgotten what was in the book.
Yeah,
and that I can do.
Jurassic Park is really interesting because like I read the book last year and I noticed like more and more like I think the new Jurassic World thing was coming out, and then it was like that they were talking about like a return to the novel with that book. And like I just remember as the older I got, I would watch Jurassic Park and the stuff because I love that movie as a kid.
Sure.
And so like I would watch it and I'd be like, I wouldn't care like about the grown up talk, but when I watch it as an adult now, I'm like listening. I'm like, wait, what's the lawyer doing here? Like, what's all this going on? And the book's all that. Like,
yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, the book is a lot of like the book is very like it's Michael Crichton, so it's very like talking about the technical aspects of it's all like
the science.
And it's it's been interesting to read that, and also like after reading the book and kind of knowing like what happens, spoiler, John Hammond in the book is kind of not a nice guy. And he stuff happens in the book. He basically gets eaten because he's convinced like the dinosaurs won't he's their dad. And it's funny because I was watching the movie recently and there's lines not directly from the book, but like close enough. And you're like, oh, they fully planned on killing John Hammond on production. And then like, is it Richard or David Attenborough that played him? Which one's the Earth guy?
It's I can't. Which
David Attenborough is the one that does the documentaries.
Richard,
so it's Richard,
brother.
Yes.
Yeah. So Richard got, and I looked it up, and Richard, everyone loved him on set. So they were like,
we can't kill you.
And that
he
makes
plays
sense.
Santa Claus. He's like a Santa Claus.
They needed to get a jerk to
they
play
should
him.
have Sean Connery. That would have been like,
we all should have been so lucky.
Oh my god, Sean Connery would have totally changed up that movie. So like, did you like as a kid? Were there like books that like did you read novelizations ever?
Yes. I the only one I remember specifically was the novelization of the Tim Burton Batman movie. And I remember reading it and thinking, this is so much better. And I loved the Tim Burton Batman movie when I was a kid, but I read it and oh my gosh, I loved the book and how detailed it was. I don't remember anything about it now, but I sure remember being really impressed by the novelization of the Batman
Novelizations are like very interesting because a lot of times they're movies that were adapted and then they like change the movie enough. Like, did you ever read novelizations, Jenny? Like,
the only novelization I can think of that I've read wasn't like a direct novelization from like an actual work that was done. So, but it was a Wonder Woman. It was a series. It's teen books, and this was like maybe 10 years ago. They did these novelizations based on like DC Legends, and they did like a Catwoman one, and
oh, that's cool.
And I want to actually say the Wonder Woman one was written by Sarah J. Maas.
Oh,
and it's actually really good, but it's like a whole brand new story. They did kind of mess a little bit with her origin story.
I've always been curious about graphic novel,
but it was actually really good. It was, and then I went and read the Catwoman one too, and I think Leigh Bardugo did that one, and she's another like really well known, mostly YA fiction. And again, that one was really good, and I think they did a couple others. I can't remember, but yeah, those ones I've read. And
but these weren't like direct novelizations.
No, they weren't direct. So that's why I'm like
from movies.
So do they still do direct novelizations?
Okay,
I've seen some.
Okay, so I would say I was like, I think this was during COVID. I remember like COVID happened. And like I went to Dylan's and I was like, everything's changing, right? And you're like just looking for meaning and stuff. And I remember like feeling like I went by the magazine section. I was like, okay, there's still magazines, and I
Yeah.
saw Mad Magazine, and that like warmed my heart. And then I saw a novelization of like whatever like Joseph Gordon Green. That's the Halloween reboot guy.
David Gordon Green.
David Gordon Green. Yeah, whatever. Like, I think it was either like it was the second one, and I was like, they had a novelization because I remember when I was a kid.
Wow.
You'd go to Dillon's,
Yeah.
and they'd have all the Anne Rule true crime books, and they'd also have movie novels, like the Airport Rack, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, I haven't seen a novelization in forever, but what's now kind of like it's not really like it feels like a cash grab. I'm not trying not. I'm trying not to say cash grab, but like.
Well.
It is what it is.
There's novelizations and horror popping up right now. So like people like they'll get a popular horror author to write the novelization for the like Ghoulies or something. Like
Really?
I feel like I've seen some too where they'll
Fright
take
Night is the one that I saw.
Yeah.
They'll take something like a podcast or whatever, and then they'll turn it into. I feel like they've done that with the Old Gods of Appalachia.
Is that a book? Because actually, I really liked that podcast, but they're like 10-minute episodes.
I feel like I recently ran across like a book about it, and I'm pretty sure that started just as a podcast.
I will say, as far as like, this is really meta, and so we derail. One of my favorite things I'm doing now, there's been a couple of like podcasts. And they'll condense. So like I do fictional podcasts. So like, what's that one? Welcome to Night Vale and all those shoot offs and like Limetown and stuff. And like, I've gotten to the point where like, I'll just wait for the novelization because novelization isn't going to have ads.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like fine tuning it, right? Like the podcast is like is rough. It's because it's like they're like, and so when they get to the novel, it's like it's a better version of.
They've edited out the stuff that doesn't always get edited out.
Yeah, so
on
like
some of these podcasts.
So that's weird because it's like the podcast is the original, and then the novel's the adaptation.
Yeah,
and so
that's wild. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah.
That seems to be fairly recent that I've seen that. And I know that they started doing it like a handful of years ago where it wasn't like a direct novelization. It was more like they created a book, like The Moth had some books about like
in lore. Yeah.
Yeah. Where it was more just like that encyclopedic like collection of information about
mostly
like,
nonfiction and then fiction starting.
Yeah.
But I've started to see fiction on more of the serial based podcasts though, where it's like the story. I tend to do more of the nonfiction podcast, but I have noticed it and was like, that's different.
Yeah.
One question I had to ask, and this is going back to your movie reviewing stuff. So like we live in Wichita and the climate has changed.
For sure.
And with movies and like I remember like a long time ago, it used to be like sometimes you'd have to go to Kansas City to see a movie.
I've done it multiple times.
Like me too, yeah. Like or go to Oklahoma City. Like I remember people going to as far as Dallas to see a movie and stuff. And like and now everything's available online, but also it's like the windows for screening. So like how has like being a movie reviewer changed since COVID? Let's set it for 2020. Like you've been doing this for a few years now. And so like what are some of the changes you've seen?
It seems to be a lot easier, except for the major releases or the major studios. It seems to be a lot easier to get digital screeners because everybody got used to providing those during COVID.
Yeah.
Even the big studios, well, although they weren't putting out a lot of movies at that point. But yeah, a number of the smaller studios have continued to do that, or distributors, I should say. Smaller distributors have continued to do that. And so that's been easier. Obviously, streaming services have exploded, and so you can get stuff through them. So when I review movies, I try to sort of spread it around because people are seeing movies in a lot of different places now. And so, I'll try to do a couple from the theater in a month and a couple from Netflix and a couple from Hulu or whatever.
Yeah.
And so there's just a lot more places you can get your movies. And so you kind of have to, I try to sprinkle it around so that I can catch everybody who's seeing their movies somewhere with something.
That's
you know?
cool. Yeah, and we're talking, and TV is almost the same now. Do you
Yeah.
feel like you're reviewing more TV?
I don't, not so much. I try to stay away from it. Sometimes if there's like a limited series, I remember last year, toward the end of the year, I did Death by Lightning, which was on Netflix, which was about the assassination of James Garfield, and it was a blast. That series was fantastic, but it was like a 4-episode limited series.
Wow.
And so I
had no interest in the death of
it's
Garfield.
so
but
much fun.
You're making me want to watch it. The Death of
Yeah.
Lightning.
Yeah, Death by Lightning.
Death by Lightning. Is that a book? So that's a book.
It's
too.
based on a book too. Yeah.
Ooh.
I have heard of that one, but like I read a lot of just, entertainment news.
Mhm.
And so like I'll hear like titles and stuff and then it goes kind of in the back
Yeah.
of my head and I'm like, okay, I'll have to revisit that later.
Well, and there's so much. I mean, even with me paying attention to so much, there's still so much that just goes past me, and I end up catching it 4 months later or something because people are talking about it. But there's just so much right now. It's hard to.
I was like that with the Queen's Gambit.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like I watched like I think there's like 8
Yeah, 6 or 8,
episodes.
I want to say.
And I watched all but like the last 2 episodes, and then I didn't pick it up again until like a year later. And I just continued and I remembered it. I still haven't read the book though, so I have no idea.
It's weird now that like TV shows typically the seasons aren't a year later.
Yeah.
It's like it could be
whenever.
anytime.
Yeah.
It's whenever. Like whenever we get around to it, you'll get season 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And George R. R. Martin is obviously.
Oh yeah, because there's
I would
the
honestly
newest one.
put money that like Game of Thrones is where this like spreading out to seasons and not caring anymore to rush them is like.
Yeah. I wonder. I mean, there have been, earlier there were things like when The Sopranos came out, they ended up splitting one of the seasons.
Yeah,
in
that
2.
was the first time I remember the split.
And I think that was largely because they didn't want to pay the actors more, so they called it the same season. And the same thing I think happened with Mad Men, maybe.
Yeah, I kind of remember that with Mad Men. I just remember also writer strikes, kind of.
I was gonna say the writers' strikes like really affected certain. This is more shows. I don't know how well it probably impacted films as well, where like certain shows just weren't the same afterwards.
Yeah.
Like the original Heroes.
Yeah.
If you ever watched
the
Heroes,
writer's strike
I was so disappointed. It was going somewhere and then like afterwards it like lost its momentum and the writing was not great. And then it just kind of tanked from there.
Yeah, what was the Sarah Connor Chronicles? I remember that show like drastically changing. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back with Fletcher, and we'll have some more questions for you.
Great.
So,
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
The Wichita Public Library has entered the world of streaming with Canopy. Library card holders can now access Canopy's massive collection of movies, TV shows, and educational content from the great courses. There's content for children, adults, and foreign language options too. And Canopy's constantly updating their library, so there's always something new to watch. To find out more, please visit wichitalibrary.org/canopy, K-A-N-O-P-Y. Canopy, just one of the many services provided to you from the Wichita Public Library.
And we're back, and this is Read, Return, Repeat. I'm Daniel.
I'm Jenny.
And we're here with Fletcher Powell, film critic for KMUW.
Hey guys.
Hey, so we've been talking about adaptations with Fletcher. I guess like the big question is like, what makes or breaks like an adaptation? Like when you adapt a movie, like I think like source material is obviously like a big one, but like what do you feel like what are like movies when they like take it from a source? Like what's something that you feel like, even if it's like something you haven't read, it's like they totally went off the rails with it.
Well, I think I'm gonna have to speak for myself specifically, because what makes or breaks an adaptation for other people may be how closely it resembles the book, and that's not that important to me.
Yeah,
because And I get it why people would feel that way,
Yeah.
because you read a book, you become emotionally invested, you really care about the characters. If we do something different to the characters or they behave differently from what we expect, then you're going to get mad because you genuinely have that emotional investment in that world, in those characters.
There's an entire industry on the internet of people that are just like
mad
about comic book movies and like it's just kind of like,
and you have people that get really hung up on the visual.
Oh, sure.
Like,
it doesn't look exactly like what I imagined in
oh,
my head.
well, they weren't supposed to look that way.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's other things at play I'm not going to get into, but like,
I mean, like, I think gender or race swapping is like, I
love that though, because if they fit the character,
Yeah.
but they look different, I don't care. But
I mean, like,
not everybody's like,
I mean, the author who we won't talk about, or I try not to, but I did think it was funny when people got mad. She was like, "Oh, I actually intended that character to be like, J.K. Rowling is what I'm talking about." Like, just being like, I always thought that was like, I guess what I get annoyed by lately, I don't even know what I was going to talk about. I think I just kind of like with comic book adaptations is when the character like is like age swapped. Like sometimes it's always like they'll make like a character, like if it's a kid, like I don't know. I watched that recently. Like I forgot what it was, but it was like they like made the adult character like a teenager, and I was like, why?
Yeah. That's funny. For me, I guess what makes an adaptation is if it justifies its existence, because there are a lot of movie. I mean, you look up a list of adaptations. Good luck, because like 50%, or I'm just making that up, maybe more of movies are adapted from something, right? So there's so many of them, and some of them are just, okay, let's make a movie of this thing. But there are others that really find a way to tell that story in a way that makes sense for a movie. And I think that's when a movie is really made as an adaptation, in that it takes that story that you could read. You could not even make the movie. You could read this and it's great. Yeah. But they do something else that makes it make sense that there is a movie now, right?
There should be a purpose, because if you think of the amount of times a particular work gets adapted and adapted and adapted, and you're like, why do we need another one?
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking of really most recent, I haven't seen it, so I can't really speak too much about it, but the new Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
How many adaptations have been made of Wuthering Heights?
So let's talk about that for a second. And we're going to talk about it in a weird way, because I also haven't seen it. And I am not a huge fan of Emerald Fennell's, right? But she said in an interview something along the lines of, I wanted to make the movie that felt like what it felt like to me when I read this when I was a teenager. I think that's an admirable approach. Like, you want to get a specific feeling that you had reading this book. I have no idea whether she executed that well or accomplished it. Like I said, I haven't seen the movie, but approaching something that way, that justifies why you would make that movie, because you're putting something else along with this source material. And I think that's really fantastic.
I think that's how, like, a director, if that's a really honorable and solid way to like go about an adaptation.
Yeah, and that actually makes me think of the a few years ago, the adaptation of Little Women by
Greta Gerwig, right?
Yeah, Greta Gerwig. And she did kind of put in like some more modern sensibilities, some more feminist sensibilities that you really didn't see in the original text.
Oh, but it was brilliant how she did it.
She was very open about that she wanted to retell the story through a feminist lens. And so, despite normally I would have been like, yeah, that's a little too modern, but like she was very open about that. And that was her vision. And so, yeah.
And what was sorry, I'm just getting excited. What was so lovely is that she both kept the original version, essentially, and added this other this other part. So she ended it essentially in two ways, right? She kept the
Mhm.
original ending, but she also gave Saoirse Ronan a different ending that updated it for a more modern sensibility,
Yeah.
which was so brilliant.
Yeah,
yeah.
because that character's because it was Amy, I believe, the youngest sister that oh wait, no,
Saoirse was
Saoirse
the
Ronan
writer.
actually played.
So-
Did she play Joe?
So no one's
can't even
So
remember.
no one's seen the movie, right?
Wait, are we talking Little Women or?
Oh, we're still talking. We're talking about Little Women.
We were
yeah.
talking about Little Women.
Okay.
I've seen Little Women. I haven't seen Wuthering Heights.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say I only read the Cliff Notes of Wuthering Heights, so that's all.
Yeah.
That's all I
So from what I hear, it departs quite a lot, and also only takes a small part of the book, which in my opinion is a fine way to adapt a movie. Again, I don't know if she executed it well, but that's a fine way to adapt a book, is to take a small part of it and tell a larger story with that.
Mhm.
So speaking of Wuthering Heights, I did take an English lit class, and like I said, Cliff Notes, and so like in this class we had to read all this stuff, and like I just kind of phoned it in. It's like I watched a lot of movie adaptations of things and stuff, and I remember like I were talking about Gulliver's Travels, and I didn't read the book at all, but I watched like several adaptations, and I brought up the courtroom scene, and my teacher's like, "That was in the movie," and I was like, "So
see,
embarrassed." Like,
that'll get you. Don't do that, kids.
I love adaptations that deviate so much
Yeah.
that it's technically a different story. Because I feel like that gives the director and the writer a lot more creative freedom.
Oh, totally.
Because if you think about like 10 Things I Hate About You or Clueless or Bridget Jones' Diary, and technically that was a book that was adapted for Pride and Prejudice.
Right.
So that's like different layers, but I feel like they get a little bit more leeway because it's like, hey, well, this is just inspired by, so we can like differentiate. It doesn't have to be true to the source material completely.
So we recently had you speak at the Senior Wednesday about short films, and you kind of talked about early short films, and a lot of them were adaptations, like Alison Mee's adaptation of A Trip to the Moon by Jules Verne, which
very loose, right?
very loose. I read that, and so I had to read that book in my 1800s science fiction class. But it is very loose adaptation.
And they have to be almost. Well, that's funny that you mentioned that, because I just watched a recently in the last 10 years restored version of Frankenstein from 1910.
Oh, that's interesting.
Very cool and very different. But it's 12 minutes long, right? You're not gonna get all of Frankenstein in there. But
speaking of horror, I think what's interesting is the Dracula, like how like Nosferatu and Dracula was. The whole adaptation of Dracula is very interesting, because I think there was like a play that was made like within like official play. So the book comes out in like 1870 something, and within like 10 years there's like a play written by someone working with Stoker, and then Nosferatu comes out like 10 years later.
I mean, like, Nosferatu's in the 20s probably, right?
20s. So I think like I do not know the year Dracula came out. I know Greg will probably add it to the
19. I think 31 or 33.
Oh, the book.
Oh, the book. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
I've already jumped ahead to the movie.
But so Nosferatu it just basically they changed names they ripped off Dracula.
Right.
It's interesting because it's like it's not an adaptation. It's just basically like a ripoff. It's
Dracula. They just couldn't get the rights to the name.
Yeah. So let's give it a Latin name. I don't know.
I don't know what Nosferatu is.
I just assumed it was Latin.
It's interesting because like now it's like people consider it like a Dracula movie, even though his name is like Count Orlok and everything's changed, but it's like. It's like if you ask someone like what are the best Dracula films, like Nosferatu, the Herzog version, this one probably come up in the list too, even though they're not technically adaptations.
One that should come up in the list that a lot of people hate is Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I love that movie.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Good. I'm so glad to hear this. But here's an example of something that makes sense when you see the adaptation, is that he does so many things that only a movie can do.
Yeah.
And that's what's so great when you see a good adaptation is that you see why, okay, that's a movie now, because these things can't be done just written on the page.
Yeah.
Right? And it's gorgeous to watch.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, is that so like Dracula is like an epistolary novel,
Mhm.
which means
Mhm.
like found footage did not exist.
A found footage.
The most like
Yeah.
true version of Dracula would be like the most like weirdest like intertextual found footage movie
That would be
involving like
interesting.
You would have to
emails
be
and like
where like somebody found a journal or something.
Ken Burns Dracula.
Ken Burns.
Yeah, they would have to do like a dual timeline thing
Yeah.
where like somebody finds these cache of letters.
That would be
And
interesting.
that actually almost kind of makes me think of a little bit if you've ever read the book The Historian by Elizabeth Kosova, which dealt with like vampires or something, and she discovers these old letters or whatever because her
Oh,
father
wow.
was like a academic, like he was a professor or something of history, and so it kind of ties in that with these letters, and then she discovers there were vampires. So it was really cool. It kind of made me think of it was very like Dracula
Yeah,
crossover.
that's really neat.
And that's kind of how I feel like you would have to do it if you wanted it to
Yeah.
like work like
I
that.
think that would be really cool. I think bringing the epistolary nature of Dracula back into the like movies would be cool. Like, but the I guess like my next question for you would be like, you said you kind of like stopped reading the book before the movie.
Yeah.
What book ruined the movie?
Oh,
for-
ruin. Oh,
Did-
gosh.
Did something? Was there a moment that made you stop, or was it just like?
No, I remember. It's funny because this is actually going the other direction. But I
Yeah.
remember when I stopped reading books that I was going to watch the movie of, or that I'd seen the movie of, and it was A Simple Plan, which was a Sam Raimi movie from
Yeah.
like 1998 or so, and it came out shortly after Fargo, which I think,
Similar vibe.
yeah, I think it was kind of to the detriment of that movie, because A Simple Plan is a really good movie.
Yeah.
And they both take place in, in Minnesota, and it's very barren, and there's money that people are fighting over, and
Yeah.
so on. But I read A Simple Plan, the book, after I'd seen the movie, and I did not have an enjoyable experience because I didn't like some of the ways the book went compared to the movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think I was being fair to the book at that point, because I was just comparing it to this other thing. And it kind of made me feel like, okay, I'm just not going to do this anymore. I don't feel like I'm being fair to the book or the movie if I'm constantly comparing the two things. And some people can handle that really easily. I personally can't. And so that's kind of when I made that decision. So it was probably around the year 2000 or so. And I pretty much have avoided, unless, as you mentioned earlier, unless it's been a decade or two
Yeah.
decades since I've seen the movie, and I don't, or since I've read the book, and I don't really remember the details that well.
I've had to do that with, there is one book/movie I can think of where I felt kind of guilty because it did deviate enough, and it's a movie I've seen so many times and I love, and the author I love,
Mhm.
but they were different enough to where I was like, this, it's not fair because on their own they're good, and it was Practical Magic.
Oh,
I didn't even know that was a book.
It is.
See,
And there's a
speaking
whole
of- Yeah.
series. Alice Hoffman is the writer, and she actually like did a prequel to it, and like goes into like the original story of the ancestor that she mentions at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, that's cool.
But for whatever reason, I think just the movie, I'd seen it so many times before I read the book. And the book does kind of take a different like path a little bit. And so it diverted enough to where I was like, I don't really like the book as much. And I feel like the reason I don't like the book as much is because I just love the movie
Yeah.
so much. But on its own, it's good. It's
Yeah.
just not the story that I just got really familiar with, and the actors and everything. I really enjoyed all the follow-up books she did, though. It's just I can't reread Practical Magic because it's just I just
I
love the
guess
film too much.
I'm thinking about Practical Magic, and I'm thinking about like times when it's like both the book and the movie are good, but the
Right.
vibes. Let's just say, like, before we jump in, what's best words? Both movie and book are good, but the vibes are just completely off.
I have one example of that is a really divisive one, I think.
Okay.
Especially among people who've read the book, which is the recent adaptation of Nickel Boys. Have you seen or read Nickel Boys?
I've read the book.
Okay.
I've seen them. It's like about the bank robbers.
No.
Oh wait, I have not.
That's
no,
the
no.
like school that was in Florida.
Yeah, it's about the two boys who are at sort of a reform school in Florida. They're black, and
Yeah.
and
there was a major abuse
Yeah.
that happened. It was based
Okay.
off of a real
right.
school.
So I don't necessarily want to say the vibes are completely different because they are telling the same story, but there's how spoilery should I be?
It's fine.
There's
we talk. It's
So one of the characters essentially is pretending to be the other character for the entire time. The way the movie tells it is the entire thing is shot first person, and we don't know that he's pretending to be this other character until there's a moment when the other character is shot to death, and our perspective jumps from the first person back to third person behind his shoulders.
oh wow.
And it's an incredible way to tell this story of identity in a purely cinematic way, a way that could not be done in another format. And for people who read the book and love the book, and great, because it's an incredible book, that the way it was shot and the way that story was told was really incongruous with what they had experienced.
So it's almost like it was like an unreliable narrator. The movie had like
extremely
an unreliable narrator, and the book did not.
Well,
have
no,
that.
I believe the book is it's still. I don't think it's clear it's not clear the entire time.
Yeah.
But you can't tell that story in the same way, literally looking through someone's eyes in a book, because you're reading words on a page. And I think the whole thing was jarring enough for some of the book readers that they did very much not connect with the movie. But it's an incredible adaptation of something, because it's taking something that only a movie can do.
And if
Yeah.
I remember correctly, I could be wrong because it's been a couple of years since I've read the Nickel Boys. I want to say it was written in third person.
Yeah, again, I'm the
And
same as
so
you.
you
I
get
read
a-
it shortly after it came out, and so
And you're going to get a different experience if you have like a film that's kind of using that kind of perspective, because it's
first
almost
person
like
versus-
a
yeah.
first person when you're
Yeah.
doing it from that. Something that was similar in that respect, where the vibe was different, was with the film, or it wasn't a film, it was a TV series. Kindred. The TV series of Kindred that was on Hulu of Octavia Butler's.
Oh, really?
And
Yeah.
I have read that novel like twice. I've even read the comic adaptation of it. But the show, like they said it, I feel like they said it in more modern day, and it takes place in the 70s. And I don't know why that made a difference to me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like I think part of it is because some of it was the outer societal thing of how she is treated in the modern day of the book, because it goes between,
Yeah.
present and past. But when they said it in a modern day and they threw in contemporary stuff, it just didn't work for me.
Hmm.
I just was gonna say, like, the book covers for True Blood, like the vampire. What is it? Southern Vampire Chronicles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
Fletcher Powell
they look
here.
completely different. Like those books do not look like True Blood at all. And so like we gotta get you out of here. And so we're just we're gonna go down. We got a few more questions.
Sure.
I'm
I think we've got 20,
We want to just
20 minutes.
oh
do we want to share our favorite
yeah.
film adaptations or our
Gosh.
least favorite?
Okay. Yeah, I just was losing track of time. Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I
Oh,
was gonna
okay.
jump into next. So let's just jump into like favorites and unfavorites and
Mhm.
stuff. I'll go ahead and is there a let's go ahead and start with the obvious one. What is like the books like what's your like favorite, like what movie is a book better to you, I guess?
Is the book better?
Yeah.
How about we go the other way?
Okay, we'll go the other way.
Because
everyone can say that, right?
everybody always says the book is better.
Yeah. So what movie do you think is better than the book?
Well, I think the example that is the very easiest is Last of the Mohicans, which is a dreadful book. But it makes a good movie.
Yeah, I read the Cliff Notes of that too.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm thinking, of course, of the Michael Mann one from the 1990s with Daniel Day-Lewis.
I'm like doing a lot of art with Wes Studi. I keep making these, like, I've been at home doing like these stencils of like Wes Studi, and like I've been looking for it. This is funny because I'm actually using Wes Studi from Heat for like one of these, which is Heat's like interesting because like to go back to the novelization thing, and it's like I don't know if they did a novelization of Heat, but
probably.
Michael Mann did write a sequel, and that's what's happening now too. Is like,
yeah, that's that. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that because he did that. Did Quentin Tarantino do something? Oh, he wrote a longer novelization of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel.
I like that book.
Really?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is I don't know because it's not they're supplemental.
Okay.
Yeah. So like they both share the same title. And this is very interesting when the book and the movie complement each other.
Yeah.
And that book's actually really good, and it explores I can't think of Cliff Booth's character, Brad Pitt's character more. What I'm bummed out now though is because I like that book a lot because those two things stand alone. Now they're doing the Cliff Booth miniseries. I'm like,
oh yeah, see
they're just gonna take it from this book. Yeah, it's like
So they always go too far.
Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the easiest one because nobody likes the book, and the movie's fantastic. And there, I don't know, there are other versions of the movie that I haven't seen, but people always say it makes for a good movie. There are other things that end up being problematic when you even try to talk about them, and so I apologize to everyone for this, but like Fight Club, the movie far better than the book.
Yeah,
it understands what it's doing far better than the book did. Another one is American Psycho, which is also a terrible book.
Yeah,
but the director Mary Harron took it in a very different direction. And I mean, maybe being a woman adapting such a male book was a really good thing, and her perspective on that changed things enough that it's actually a pretty good movie. And so there are movies like that where the perspective of whoever's doing it maybe understands the root of it better than the author actually did.
I think that does happen, and I feel like Bret Easton Ellis. I think I've kind of heard that about all his movies are kind of more comprehensible, and like I guess my example would be The Hunger Games.
Okay,
the first one. The book was very grounded in like a teenage reality and stuff, and like I had some issues with contrasting like this like angsty teen perspective against like this like dystopian like rule. It's like this like, and I get like it's very like, and it's like harkens back to like Anne Frank's diary where it's like teenagers are going to be teenagers even despite what's going on and stuff. But I thought the movie handled that a lot better than the book did.
Okay. I haven't read the Hunger Games books.
Yeah, and I think possibly is because the book was like first person and the movie was third person. And I think that was just something I liked for this world. I thought the third person perspective was like, and I think when you do have like a complicated world, sometimes it's like best to have multiple like perceptions of it. So
mine is completely an unserious answer.
Good.
But Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Oh.
Did they make that a movie?
They made a movie.
I didn't see the movie.
And like the book is literally the original text and they just throw in zombie stuff. So it's unreadable. Yeah. But like the film is ridiculous. It's so utterly ridiculous. But like at least it seems to make a little bit of sense. It's definitely not one that you can take seriously while you're watching it. The acting is pretty awful, but like objectively, Those types of ones, because I actually went and read also. I read all of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter,
right.
but I haven't actually seen the movie that they did of it. But I feel like it's probably the same way, where it's just like so ridiculous. They're not meant to be taken seriously, but as a film,
Yeah.
like you can just have fun with it.
Yeah.
They're just, they can just be ridiculous.
How do you feel about Ready Player One?
Well, I've not read the book.
Okay.
I did not love the movie.
Okay. I think that's one of the things I've been trying, because I actually liked the book when it came out. I hated the sequel, and then like retroactively I've gone back and then like, okay, this is like just a nostalgia bomb.
That's how the movie feels.
Yeah, and it's like
The book totally
Really?
was. Just a
Yeah.
ton of references, like trying to hook in millennials, particularly, or Gen Xers.
Have you ever read a sequel to a book that had like the book came out like Me Too is an example, like, but I read Ready Player Two and it was very obvious it's like this is being written to be adapted kind of thing.
yeah.
Like, and it's
Yeah.
like that's like I hate it. That was like the worst experience because it was like you're not even writing for your reader anymore. You're writing to like for this intellectual property, and it was like I can talk an hour about Ernest Klein. Ian also is not a big, or one of our show or team members. He's not a big fan, but we'll save it for someone else. I guess as far as like when the book is, I want to say one of my problems with the movies a lot of times, rather than talking, because everyone knows like what I get, rather than being like what book is better, I guess like to make it interesting, what time do you think, we talked about when movies deviate from the course.
Mm-hmm.
What movie do you think, like Blade Runner would be a good example. So are there movies that you feel like should have deviated? Watchmen is like one of the first examples, because Watchmen is too true. Like a lot of Zack Snyder's stuff is too true to text. Like even 300 is very like page by page. The show Invincible is just, it's very straight page to movie. And it's like, is there something that you feel like probably needed to like branch out or got constrained because it was trying to hold up?
It was trying too hard to like stick to the
Yeah.
source material.
Yeah.
Well-
It's funny that you bring up Watchmen because you're talking about the movie.
Yeah.
And then there's the HBO
The series is great.
which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. And then it's like the series is like an unofficial sequel to that's interesting because you're getting messy waters because they changed the ending for the movie. If you haven't read Watchmen, what's supposed to happen is a giant squid monster teleports into New York City. This is basically the only thing they changed. And I guess in 2009, this is like pre-Avengers, and it was like no one really kind of had it. So this was like, people say that movie gets a lot of hate because it was like too true to the source. The source is wonky. It's written by Alan Moore. And then the other thing is that there was not a concept for a superhero team in the collective conscious, like Avengers or Justice League. And so people watching is like, what is this? And it's like retroactively, like if you watch Watchmen now, it was 10 years before its time kind of thing. Yeah. Or 5 years. Because I think Avengers came out like 3 years after that, I don't know.
I'm trying to think if there's something, because that has happened to me where I've thought, what you should have done is fix the book, right? Because there's this, I wish I could think of a good example, because there's something that happens in the book. And I do think
Tolkien?
Well, maybe.
Honestly, those short animated movies are just as good.
Yeah.
Like the condensed Tolkien movies.
But that is a responsibility, I think, of somebody who adapts a book, is if there are problems with the book, you fix that, right?
Yeah.
Or things that just aren't going to translate very well to screen,
Definitely.
especially like the long dialogue that might not make sense. Or, stuff that just could be cut out and it's not going to change the story.
Yeah.
As far as, do you play video games at all?
No.
Okay. So video game adaptations are very interesting to me because I've been using this. The show Twisted Metal, based off the PlayStation game where you're a car guy.
Right.
Great show.
Really?
Great story. Because they didn't have any lore to they didn't have to
Yeah.
Five Nights at Freddy's is so the fandom around Five Nights at Freddy's and all the the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's. The movies, the second movie was not that good because you can tell it's they are adhering to these like rules for the movie from this world building, and they have to play with them, and it's for teenagers, and it's very like disjointed.
It's almost like they're afraid of the internet getting mad at them.
Yeah. It felt like that because it just seemed like they're trying to like. There's weird time stuff. Like the movie takes place. Supposedly the place was open in the 80s and closed, and it's like that's 40 years. That's almost a half century, and they make it look like 20 years. But I think and they like I don't know. The whole movie is very kids love it obviously, but like I tried watching as an adult, and I played the first game, and I'm aware because we get so much of the books here, like in the and I just like. I can't make sense. They should have like deviated because this story doesn't make sense. I'm sure if I love this content and it's like.
You know what is really bad about doing it is if you've seen any of the more recent live action adaptations they've done of Disney. And I know those technically aren't, well, technically you could say they're book because they're based off of like fairy tales or whatever, but like the Beauty and the Beast or the Cinderella. Like I saw the Cinderella one, like it was exactly like the old animated film.
Yeah.
Like they didn't do anything different with it.
The one I watched was Pinocchio, and I was watching and I was like, what am I even doing?
Yeah.
Well, I could watch this gorgeous animation, or I could watch this muddy computer generated stuff that's mixed with live action that's telling the exact same story in the exact same way. It just looks worse.
They literally did nothing.
I feel like AI gets a bad rap for the word. I feel like slop can apply to more than AI, and those movies to me is like unnecessarily replication. He spent millions of dollars to basically recreate this thing. That I understand it's probably for like legal reasons, like because of copyright and intellectual property and stuff. It's like who knows?
One of my favorite Cinderella adaptations was Ever After.
Oh sure,
with
Drew Barrymore.
Is it Drew Barrymore? Yeah.
It's
actually really good. Like I don't care what people say.
That's a really good movie.
I love it.
Now it's been a long time for me on that one, but
I haven't seen it.
We could talk about 90s teen adaptations of classic works. 10 Things I Hate About You. That's what is that? Oh, that's Shakespeare.
Taming
right?
of the Shrew.
That was Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah. There's so many.
There's so
and
many
that one did a really good job of adapting it too, because I mean, even if you think about it, do you remember Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet?
Of course.
That movie goes hard.
I love it.
They stuck with the actual verses, but they made it so unique. That actually, I think, is a really great example of taking like source material, but doing something completely different with it. Yeah. And I feel like that one did a really great job of just incorporating
and understanding the spirit of what the original work was giving.
And you still had that same. You would. It still felt like Romeo and Juliet, but like completely modern. That was good.
That one. That movie was like that VHS was like very popular, like in drama class.
I had the soundtrack.
Well, we're about to get you out of here. We got one more question. Let's go ahead and do the fan casting question. What is something you want to see adapted that hasn't been adapted yet?
That's
really just
hard.
Give it a year.
No, that's hard. What I really enjoy when it comes to adaptations are like adventure movies, right?
Yeah.
So like Count of Monte Cristo never seems to be a bad movie. There was one that came out a couple years ago that was French, like 4 or 6 hours long. Great. The one with Guy Pearce, back in the early 2000s, really good. So what I really like are adventure movies. So I'd kind of like to see. Do you guys know Scaramouche?
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Okay, so it was written, I think, in like the 1920s. But anyway, swashbuckling type movie. I'd really like to see something like that. I like swashbucklers. And when it comes to adaptations, what is it harder for me to imagine in my head? An adventure movie. Put it on the screen. Let me have fun, right?
Yeah. That actually makes a lot of sense because like I was thinking of like, what are those movies? It's like the National Treasures. There's the other one, Sahara.
Oh, right.
Which is like Clive Cussler's adaptation, which is like a really fun movie. And like, I I ended up like reading a Clive Cussler novel, and I was like, "Wow, this is better as a film."
Yeah, people say that about Cussler.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
I was so excited. I was like, "Well, these are basically." I was like very bored with it immediately. I was like, "Oh."
Well, apparently some of those get like really bonkers. Some of his books and the plots. So I don't know. Maybe doing some more of those might be a good idea.
Yeah, and that'd be cool. So Scaramouche is probably gonna be your like.
Yeah. I mean, I probably I could think of some more, but I mean, if you're gonna adapt something, then put something up there that I'm gonna have a lot of fun with, that I can enjoy on a big screen. Give me a reason for it to be a movie, because I can make up lots of good pictures in my head when I read a book.
I get that. Yeah, I think mine is because like last season we interviewed is it Graham? I'm sorry, the Buffalo Hunter
Oh yeah.
by Stephen Graham Jones, and that I'm excited for this movie. Like I hope they actually. I don't know if there's any talk about it. I know the like Choctaw Native vampire hunters and sinners can't happen, and then people started talking.
Yeah.
About that possibly, but that's the one right now that I'm like, I hope I'll go see that when it comes out.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. But I guess if I narrow down what I would love to see adapted, for like a TV series, Lore Olympus.
Tell me more.
Though it was the web comic that retells the story of Hades and Persephone.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. They've collected it now into graphic novel form, but that would definitely have to be like a series and not a movie.
Yeah.
If it was a film, Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree.
Oh, Legends and Lattes, that would be a good. That would be fun.
So
yeah.
Tell me about this.
Okay, do you know what cozy mysteries are?
Yeah, basically.
This is cozy fantasy.
Okay.
And it's
that sounds
about
nice.
an orc and a demon that run a coffee shop.
Yeah, in this like town, it's all about like found family and but it also has like D&D vibes.
Yeah.
And
Well, so why would you want that to be a movie?
I feel like that would be fun. It would, and not to mention, I can't really think of too many cozy fantasies on film. Like, it would be something that...
Does Princess Bride count as a cozy fantasy?
I guess that's as close as we have.
Yeah.
That I can think of off the top of my head. And even though it's become more and more popular, I feel like you could bring in a lot of humor element. Like, and I know I just mentioned D&D vibes, but the most recent D&D movie, not the awful one from 2000.
Right.
Because I recently rewatched that. It's
I'm
so
sorry.
horrible. It's so horrible.
Princess Bride is a cozy fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, like I know that's like a new term, but I
feel like if you brought in some of the humor that you had in the most recent D&D film with
Chris Pine.
Was it Chris Pine?
Yeah.
He can do that. He can do that kind of humor, and like some of the other actors, I feel like we'd have to have like the people that were like in like the Marvel movies, like Tom Hiddleston.
I feel like Michelle Rodriguez, didn't she play like a half orc or something? Or,
yeah,
she'd actually be good in that role. That
she
would be
would.
Like, yeah.
She would play. I was Viv was the orc in it. Yeah, I would want like Aubrey Plaza to be the succubus.
I know nothing about the book, but that sounds right.
Okay, I'm gonna go for Legends and Lattes. I will go Leia Ripley from WWE debut as the orc. She's tall. It works. And then I'll stick with Aubrey. I don't feel like
I feel like Aubrey Plaza would make the little goth succubus, one, the love interest in there would be great. And I don't know about the hobgoblin.
Oh, yeah.
Like Danny DeVito.
That would be great. Yeah. Anything with Danny DeVito's goblin. Is there like, okay, I will say, maybe I have to preface this question. Is there any like movies you'd like to see turned into a book?
Ooh.
I do have an answer. I have an answer. And I always see people reading mysteries. And like, I know I'm getting older and I'm starting to do things my grandparents did and my parents did. And like, one of the things is like, I do like I never watched like Columbo. That was always, but Poker Face.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
with I can't think Natasha Lyonne.
Uh-huh.
Which only ran. I think it's already canceled, but
I hope it's not
honestly,
canceled. Is it
anything.
canceled?
I don't know.
Okay.
But also, Knives Out.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Oh yeah.
though, like they need to realize millennials are getting older. We want cozy mysteries.
Right.
We want mysteries to like read, just pump them out James Patterson style. The Knives Out and Poker Face, which I can't think. Robert Eggers, is that no? What's the name of the guy that made the director that wrote Knives Out? Or he did.
Oh, Ryan Johnson, you mean?
Ryan Johnson, yeah, Rian Johnson or whatever, because he's the producer on Poker Face as well, I think.
Sorry.
So he just needs to get into publishing and start turning his IPs into books, because I'll read them.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, if they made a novelization of Knives Out, I would totally, because it's like James Bond, but like
there's
way more light.
There's somebody I want to tell you about named Agatha Christie.
Oh, I've read it.
I know that's like grandma stuff. I didn't like.
Agatha Christie's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah, I get that.
But I
get
feel
that.
like there's a more modern set, and there are.
You're right. If I mean, like, and that's kind of what the Knives Out movies are sort of a more modern type of Agatha Christie.
Benoit Blanc, is that his name?
Yeah,
he's just cool.
He's so cool.
He's so cool, and I like the Poker Face Natasha Lyonne, because she's like kind of like a hot mess, and it's like
I love her.
You need to go back and watch Columbo. That's what you need to do.
Okay,
it's really fun.
Okay, is Columbo, was that an adaptation?
Actually, you want to hear something really funny about Columbo?
I'm gonna do that.
And maybe I'm totally wrong about this, but according to my mother, I'm like a fifth cousin. Like
the Columbo?
Yeah, to Peter Falk.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was my grandmother's maiden name.
Oh wow!
So like it's believable.
Go with it.
Apparently,
just go with it. Yeah.
I was distantly related to Peter Falk.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome. One more thing.
Okay.
Good.
Very good.
Totally unrelated.
That was a Columbo impression.
That was magical.
Yeah. So I guess we'll wrap it up. So are you working on anything? Doing anything cool? Got anything coming up?
I am always on the radio. KMUW is 89.1 on your FM dial, and I host All Things Considered there, and I have my movie reviews each week, and I also host a show called You're Saying It Wrong, which is about language, sort of the pitfalls of the English language. It's a lot of fun. People sort of sometimes call it car talk for language. I have there's a brother-sister writing team who are language experts, and I connect with them each week, and we, spend half an hour talking about whatever we want to with the world of language.
So that's all. We might have you back on the show to talk about that.
I gotta check that out. I didn't
know that existed. That's we should have probably found that out at the beginning of the show.
I am a big language nerd.
Oh,
I listen to linguistics podcasts.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and I don't just say that because I'm on it. But You're Saying It Wrong. You can podcast.
You know what's really funny is
Saturday mornings.
I remember KMUW did this thing about there's like a Key and Peele sketch about saying axe instead of ask, and they everyone thought it was like African American vernacular, but it actually like dated way back before. Because like my dad always says axe instead of ask. My mom, I watched my parents fight over this for my whole life, and then I like sent that. I was like, Mom, actually, but I've always thought languages was interesting.
Yeah,
so that's cool. We're gonna definitely check that out.
It's very fascinating.
Yeah.
I love the fact that like Appalachian dialect is like, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about this, that it's like closer to like Shakespearean English than like modern British.
I've heard that too.
Oh,
yeah,
I mean that would kind of make sense because they came over and it kind of hardened. I mean, obviously not
in
Shakespeare.
a very kind of not like in terms of like linguistically, not so much how it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like some of the grammar that we make fun of for people speaking a certain way in the Appalachian region.
Also, I appreciate you saying Appalachian.
Oh, I have my grandmother was from Appalachia.
Oh, people often say Appalachian.
Oh, yeah, I had to correct my husband. I was like, it's not Appalachia. It's
but definitely, like, we can, like, have you, we'd love to, like, talk about that more.
That's a whole other, because we could go on about that.
We're the adult literacies department, so we have a lot to say about language. So we could check you out at KMUW, and then did you see any movies? You got any movies you're excited about coming up?
Will you let me turn on my phone and
go ahead.
Look at my...
Did you see Project Hail Mary?
No, I didn't see Project
Oh, we were
Hail
just
Mary.
talking about that this morning.
I will tell you, having two small children, it makes it very hard for me to get to the movie theater, despite my job.
Yeah.
So I have to watch a lot of stuff through screeners, or I end up catching it a little later and I just don't review it, which is fine.
Yeah. Are you physical media free at this point? Or are you
Oh no, I if there's something I really care about, I will
Yeah.
buy it on physical media because I want to be guaranteed that I will have it.
I'm going to take a moment while Fletcher looks up his phone to do a quick shout out to Canopy. Canopy, a streaming service you get with your library
Yes.
card.
Fantastic.
And, it's you could check it there. Yeah, we have tons of Blu-rays and DVDs, but also check out Canopy. There's some great movies on there.
I
And
love
if you have
Canopy.
if you like, once you sign in with your library card and they do have you like register an account so that you can like rewatch movies
Yeah.
or put stuff on a saved list, it'll send you an email with like stuff that's new or whatever, like
Ooh,
what
I
to
need to
watch
s-
this weekend.
I need to check my emails
'Cause
to see
I
where
get
that's going,
those
'cause I don't see those.
emails.
I'm sure it's in the spam folder.
Yeah, no, I get mine. I get them in my personal email though, not my work email. But yeah, something to do if you want to see, because like Netflix, it does cycle out movies too.
Yeah. I was speaking of Letterboxd. I was on I was in a movie that's on Letterboxd, and I was really scared to look at it. And then I went, and it was just people saying very nice things about me. So if I'm ever down about, I go look at the Must Love Pie Letterboxd reviews.
Yeah.
They're like, "Aw."
That's really sweet. So let me recommend two things. One is just a movie, although kind of adapted from earlier things, kind of, and the other is an adaptation. One is the movie. I think it just came out on streaming or VOD at least. So Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. Do you know this?
Okay, no, I
Yeah.
keep seeing it. I saw it was showing recently, but I didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Incredible. So
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about this. So Nirvana, the band,
The
was
show.
like a web series in around 2008 from these two Canadian guys. And they made up this band called Nirvana the Band, and their goal was to get to play a show at the Rivoli, which is a big venue in Toronto, right? So then they had a series, I think, called Nirvana the Band the Show, and that was, I don't know, I want to say late 2010s maybe.
Yeah.
So now there's this movie called Nirvana the Band the Show, the movie, and it is these guys present day, but they end up inventing a time machine accidentally, sort of, to go back in time to set things up so that they can play a show at the Rivoli in the present day. And man, this movie is mind-blowing. There is a scene early on where they skydive off the CN Tower in Toronto onto the roof of the Sky Dome. I have no idea how they made this look like it. They actually did it. But then later they go back into 2008 and they interact with themselves from 2008, and it is them. So I don't know if they had the magical foresight in 2008 to shoot scenes of them interacting with their future selves or what. But I have no idea how they made this movie, and it is incredible. Anyway, it's also a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh,
that
I want to
fun.
see that. That's
Nirvana the Man, the show, the movie.
Nirvana
Yeah.
the Band,
I
the show, the movie. Yeah.
love, like, I think I mentioned this in the last episode. I love stuff with like unhinged sounding plots.
Yeah.
Or just stuff that's utterly unique.
Yeah, and me describing that to you really doesn't even do it justice.
No, it
It's-
sounds. Yeah, I'm definitely checking it out. That is. That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to recommend is a series. It's Italian, but it was directed by Joe Wright, he's made a lot of movies. I think he really broke out with Atonement, maybe around 2002 or so. But it's about Benito Mussolini. It's called Mussolini, Son of the Century, and it's about Mussolini's rise to power, and it pretty much ends once he's risen to power in Italy. But man, this thing is bonkers. Wright is kind of crazy anyway, and like the way he makes things is just wild. But this the performance by the lead, he's an Italian actor. He's been quite a few things, but it's completely unhinged. I mean, you want to talk about unhinged. This thing is wild, and it has just sustained momentum for like 8 episodes. And it's also pretty terrifying because you can see the blueprint that people have used to create a fascist framework ever since then.
Yeah.
And I just watched it with my jaw dropped. It's
Oh my
about 8
God.
hours long, but I really, really recommend it. I don't want to say fun exactly because you get a pit in your stomach watching
Yeah.
it, but it is fun to watch the filmmaking and just the level of absurdity and insanity, both in what you're seeing and in what actually happened. So
Yeah.
definitely I recommend that.
That's
Yeah.
I'll definitely have to check that
Check
out.
that.
Yeah. Anyway, so thanks for listening and watching. Thanks for being here, Fletcher.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun.
all right, I think that's a wrap. So catch you guys later. That was so awesome that Fletcher was able to come talk to us today on the episode.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. He had some really interesting thoughts too, which I really enjoyed, and I learned a few things.
And actually, I think I kind of want to listen to his other show about how you're saying it wrong, which I hope we can get him back on for that, because I think, especially with like adult spelling bee and other things like that, that show would also fit within.
Yeah.
So definitely, Fletcher, we're gonna have you back to talk about if we're saying words right.
Yeah, that's totally my thing too. I love like word history and etymology, and a lot of library workers were big word nerds.
Yeah.
And I just think we could go down such a
I'm trying to
rabbit
think
hole.
of words I've been saying wrong for a while, but none come to mind. I used to say subtle really wrong. I used to say subtle.
Well, I'm really fascinated by accents, like regional accents, and maybe it's because I have one.
Yeah.
And I I do a little bit. Apparently not as much as I used to, but when I first moved here, like a decade ago, people would not understand me when I said certain words, and then later on somebody's like, yeah, I could tell you weren't from here because you say, cereal funny.
Can you say don't you know real quick?
You want me to say don't you know it?
Okay, now I can tell the Michigander came out in you. So thank you guys for listening. The show is ending. Make sure you check us out on all your podcast listening apps, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts. And again, you can email us. My email is dpewewardy@wichita.gov. If you that's dpewewardy at wichita.gov. Feel free to email me if you have questions or ideas for the show.
Yeah, and we have an email chat form on our website as well. So if you go to wichitalibrary.org and you scroll all the way to the bottom under Contact Us, there is live chat, but there's also like an email form you can fill out, and that will get to us as well.
Yes. So thank you guys for listening. Next episode, we're going to talk about comic books and graphic novels, which I'm excited about. So we'll catch you later.
Yeah, take care. Thank you.
Bye.